And we're live. Welcome to the Deal Champs podcast.
Let's go.
I'm your co-host, Stratt Daddy. We have another amazing guest on today. It's almost been a month since we've been on. We've been busy working on actual Deal Champs stuff, so it's been hard to balance both of them. We're going to do some quick intros and hop right into it. Real quick, my name's Stratt Brown. We have a 7-figure real estate portfolio. I've scaled 2 different companies to 7 figures. I made my first million in business at age 26. And we currently wholesale houses. We have the Deal Champs community, the premier community for real estate investors. And we love helping other people. The best thing about real estate is I went from no life skills to learning how to make money out of thin air, which is, I think, is pretty cool when it comes to wholesaling. We have Mr. Captain America, Dean Rogers, with us.
What's up, guys? Dean Rogers, your other co-host. For those that know, I started my career in the NFL. Then I transitioned to corporate, then into real estate. Been investing in real estate for a decade now in Central California. We've done over 750 deals, have an 8-figure rental portfolio, and fired up about the Deal Champs community. We just got done with a student workshop last week, and it was on fire. Students just were raving about it. We were working on live leads, working on that coaching live in person. So it was really cool and fun to do that with the students. And you guys can always check us out at dealchamps.com.
And we have the King of England with us, Mr. Ryan. The King is here, Mr. Ryan Weimer. Bro, thank you so much for coming on. Give us a quick 30-second minute intro on you, bro.
What's up, guys? So we moved over to London, England 3 years ago from Encinitas, California, from San Diego. We lived there about 6 years. But my entire business is in Boise, Idaho. So half of our team is virtual, half our team's remote. We do about 150 to 200 off-market deals a year, a bunch of different marketing channels, wholesaling, novations, rental properties, creative finance, you name it, we do it. And I'm just absolutely pumped to talk about one of our biggest failures of losing $1 million on a single deal turned into one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So excited to share the good, bad, and the ugly with that.
I'm first. I call
That's wild. I'm pretty sure I have my finger up first too, but we'll arm wrestle over next time.
Ryan, I'm originally from Salt Lake, and some of my friends in Salt Lake, one of our good friends, Mike Burns, got his ass absolutely kicked in like 2022-ish. And Boise's a very similar market to where I don't know if you guys overbuilt a little bit, but I know Salt Lake crashed like 20% in a year. Did you guys have that same thing happen?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it actually wasn't due to inventory. So the crazy thing was just because of affordability, just because interest rates doubling in that short of a period of time, Boise doesn't have tech salaries. It's hospitality. Albertsons is headquartered here. They do have Micron, which is like semiconductor, but that's really like the only kind of high paying job that's here. So as soon as interest rates rose, just your average person here couldn't afford the homes that were being built anymore. So it was more of just an affordability shift. I mean, everything that was median price point and below was still moving okay. But man, if you were above like 700, 800,000 on a house, you got hit really hard.
And is that your median is like 700?
It's a little lower. It's like 600. Yeah.
Which is still super high. Like people think, you don't think 600 in Idaho is where the price point is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And I think, obviously with a bunch of people moving from the West Coast, like even now, even after COVID, Idaho ranks number 2 in the country in terms of net GDP added to the state, because the whole population of Idaho was like 2 million people. And the whole population of Oregon, Washington, and California is 53 million. So it really doesn't take that many people moving to Idaho to cause any kind of, big appreciation of it.
I had a buddy just moved there from California. A lot of people have, but you're saying just last year is when you got your teeth kicked in. Now, was this a deal that happened overnight now, or was it like just a bunch of events that led up to it? Because you said this is from one deal, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. This deal was actually from 2021. So it was a development deal. It was a 12-unit new build multifamily deal. And I'm sure you can kind of connect the dots. I had never
Oh, yeah.
done a development deal before.
Yep.
So I I had a mentor and a coach that was supposed to help me through it, that I had bought it from, and that could not have gone more wrong. So that's kind of how it all started.
Boy, this
Dive into that
sounds
shit, bro. Dive into
just
that.
like me. It was a guy in my circle of trust. It was a new construction deal, never done it before, said everything was ready to go, and it was just a house of cards that all fell when I finally bought into the deal. So what was your story, dude? How did it fall apart for you?
I think it was just getting shiny object syndrome, right? I mean, as entrepreneurs, like, we always want to conquer and we want to do more. And we were doing really well in the wholesaling space, sourcing a bunch of off-market deals, doing rentals, some flips. And I was like, dang, these new builds, people are making 300, 500, even $1 million per deal. And so I thought, I can do that, right? Or at
Mm-hmm.
least I want to learn the skill set on how to do that. And the guy that was coaching me, he had some experience doing them, but I think it wasn't really malicious per se. He was just way too fast and loose, had way too many things going on to really understand what he was selling me. So it wasn't like he, sold me a bag of poop or something like that. It was
That's what I got sold.
there. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There were just some big things that were overlooked. For example, we didn't have like a fire chief sign off for our fire hydrant, and that was supposed to take 2 weeks, and it took 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Right. So when you fund an entire construction loan at 10.5%, because I had no experience, right? So I'm paying quasi hard money rates for a construction loan on a $3 million build. I mean, 8 months of holding costs already, you're in trouble. So that's just
Yeah.
how it started. And then the contractor that he recommended to build these, he didn't build anything to fire code. So the city came out to do their inspection, and they said, you got the wrong drywall, you got the wrong doors, you
Sure.
got all the wrong framing. You got to we're red tagging you, so you got to stop work completely. And now you got to tear all this down and redo it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I just funded my entire construction loan. I don't have any money left.
Yeah.
So that was a real oh shit moment for me on
I
what
just
to
heard
do.
a similar story like that, where if you just got the wrong contractor who's following the wrong codes for the wrong building type, like that can just stop you dead in the waters and just cut your legs out.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy too, right? Like, it wasn't just a random guy that I hired. It
Yeah.
was a guy that my coach and mentor really, recommended. And he checked out from the reference checks that I did. Turns out most of his experience was in a different state. So I
Sure.
think that had something to do with it. Now, at the same time, like, all of the right parameters and stuff that he was looking at were on the plans. So I don't know. It was one of those things.
How did you guys handle that with him? Did he just do the rest of it for free, like it cost, or what?
Well, he couldn't afford anything, right? So I had to go sell a bunch of my assets, borrow money from family and friends, use my own cash. I had to do
Sure.
whatever, because when you're in that moment, and the new contractor calls me and is like, hey, because I had to fire him because he didn't have the funds or means to fix it himself. And so when I get a call from the new contractor that's like, hey, it's going to cost us 800 grand to do all this, and I'm like, I don't have 800 grand. That's a real holy crap, what am I going to do moment. Like, am I going to let this go to foreclosure? Well, I can't, because I've got private money lenders on this deal, and I can't let those people down. Like, I cannot ruin my reputation on this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a real all hands on deck moment, and it took about 7 months after that to finish it. And that's how really the million was lost. All by the way, my lender halfway through the project became illiquid. So they cut
Wow.
off my lender draws for 60 days, and I had to sue them after the fact to try to recoup damages. But they cut off funds for 60 days when the market corrected, when interest rates changed. They had just lent out too much money. And
Yowzer.
so obviously you got people walking off the job, then your timelines keep getting extended. So you name it, pretty much, other than a tornado or natural disaster, it happened on this project.
Did you win that lawsuit?
It's still going on. Still going on.
How
So
much how deep into attorney's fees are you on that?
Probably 30, 40 grand at this point. Yeah.
At what point does it become a wash in holding costs versus attorney's fees?
Over 10x that.
Wow.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because all the while that the project had gotten delayed, they tacked on additional like default interest rates, additional points and extensions from, because when they cut off draws for 60 days, it's not just the 60 days, it's everybody walks off the job. Boise's a small community, so they tell all the other contractors, like, hey, that project's insolvent, they're not paying anybody, don't go work on that
the
job.
downstream effects.
Yeah. So then the scheduling, and then when you finally do find people to do it, they're 2 months out because they're busy working on other stuff. So the whole impact is way longer than 60 days. And yeah, it's a lot more money than you'd actually think when you sit down and do the math of the domino effect.
What was your monthly nut on this thing?
You mean my monthly cost?
Just debts, just debt service on this.
I think it was 35.
Yeah,
35K. Yeah.
And so when this happened, do you have a partner? Do you have a partner in your wholesale company?
No.
No. So the wholesale company is all you, and then this was all you. So you could at least fund yourself as much as you could. If the team turned it on, we could just take whatever excess cash we generate and throw it back into that.
Sort of, yeah. It was not a company deal, so it was purchased in a different LLC, right? For me personally, I didn't want to mix the team into that because I didn't want. I wanted them to keep the focus on what they were doing, and I kept a lot of the team shielded from what was going on, and just tried to handle it the best I could myself. Because I knew if they got it involved or kind of had seen what I was going through, that they would get concerned and get worried, right? And I didn't want that to impact them.
But did the wholesale company continue to like produce cash, or because it was so stressful over there, like everything else started to suffer?
They did, but it wasn't enough to, get me through everything. The most beautiful thing that came out of this, though, I learned a strategy called Weimer method. So this is something we still do right now, but basically on a creative finance deal, we'll get a 0% interest note. So instead of paying the seller cash, we'll have them fund a note, make payments to that at 0% interest. And then we'll get them to allow us to secure that note against a different property, like a rental property. That way it frees up the property we got under contract to flip, and I get all that cash. It's basically like getting a 0% interest cash credit card.
Oh,
is that like subordinating collateral?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So we did a few of those, and I was like, holy shit, this is my get out of jail free card, because I could get 300, 500K liquid at 0% immediately. And that's how I was able to really finish the project.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
What did that pitch sound like to the seller?
Yeah. Hey, the cash price doesn't work. What if there was a way that we could get up closer to your asking price? How open-minded are you? What if we did it in payments over time? You'd be surprised how many people would say yes to that if you can get them, 50K, 80K, 100+K over whatever that cash number is, because the delta is so big that they're like, even if I have to wait 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years in payments, we We did one recently that was over 212 years because it doesn't have a balloon. They'll wait a long time if it's a sizable enough of a delta.
You set it
I
up
feel like
with
you can.
with a term for 212 years.
Yeah, so the way we write it up, this is a really good tip for everybody. A lot of times a seller will say, "Well, when can I get all my money?" You never want to bring up interest rate, and you never want to bring up number of years. The way that we always write it up in our baseline contract is us to pay $200 a month for whatever that number it is, principal only payments until paid in full. So one more time, principal only payments until paid in full. So when you say until paid in full,
There's no
you just have to
amortization
do the
schedule.
math to see, right?
Yeah.
You don't mention the number of years that it takes, and they don't care because again, they're making so much higher of a price. All they care about is getting that highest price because it's so much more than the cash offer.
I love that. That's the same strategy and approach that I coach on with our community, and that I train on with my team. Because you're right. If you make it about the number of years, they're going to be hyper focused about the number of the years, right? If you make it about the payment, and if they're agreeable to the payment, there you go. That's pretty wild. That's a pretty wild strategy I have not heard of before. Not that I haven't heard of the idea, not that I haven't heard of people doing it before, but like as a very focused actual strategy to implement, not once, not twice, but multiple times, and utilize that. That's very interesting. So I like that Weimer method of taking the note, and instead of securing it against the property like you would on a normal seller financing deal, you secure it against another property that you have, continue to make the same payments that you would otherwise, but it allows you to buy and then sell that property and it be free and clear, so you get all of that capital right back to your bank account. That's huge.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? I would have never done had this not happened to me.
Yeah.
I would have never been forced to innovate and think outside the box to be able to do it. And now the beautiful part about it is I have this skill, and my team has this skill with us the rest of our lives, right?
Yeah. How many times have you used the Weimer method?
I think just shy of 20 in a year.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's really good.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And for all the reasons the market has been hard, with elevated interest rates, it's a really, really good time to do creative finance deals because you find people that can't get what they want to on the market, or they can't really afford to get into something else anyways. So they don't try to buy another property. They just rent instead. And that makes them a lot more flexible in what they're willing to take as a down payment and the rest of the terms. And so there's some cool things happening in a down market cycle that you can take advantage of.
I was just about to. We ran into a point in time where I was shelling out like 30 grand a month into something that was just losing us money. And that was like same thing. Like you're back against the wall. Like we need to make this money. Makes you get really good at making money. It's like the biggest thing I learned. I think if you want to make more money, the best way to do it is put yourself in a situation where there is no other way. And if you don't make more money, something bad is going to happen. And then that is really where the rubber is going to meet the road. And you're probably going to step up. Some people don't, but really the majority of people figure it out because they have a certain threshold. And there is no way in hell you're going to foreclose or declare bankruptcy on your private money lenders. Like most people just won't do it. And so you figure out a way.
1,000% agree. Even now, I can't remember who I learned this from. Oh, it's going to bother me. But even now, one thing that I implemented, it took us a while to dig ourselves out of that hole, but now we're going to have a record quarter. We're going to do. We've already closed 1.3 million just in the first 8 weeks of this quarter, or 7 weeks of this quarter. And one thing that I do, epic. And one thing that I do now, whenever I see a high amount of money in my bank account, what happens to my action level? I don't know why, but I don't get that feeling of desperation anymore. Like my back is against the wall, so it dips. My action level dips, no doubt. And even it's the same thing with our sales team too, right? They get kind of fat and happy. They get some commission checks coming in. They
Yep.
don't work as hard, and so I actually have like it's not a secret bank account, but it's a bank account that I transfer a lot of money into that is really difficult for me to access. Like I have to go into a physical branch to see the balance, which is hard for me because I'm in London, right? So I have to like be in Boise and like be at a branch to see it because I don't want to see that high amount in my bank account. It'll do things to me. So I kind of like play this mental game with myself to always get the best out of myself.
Did you get that from Profit First?
I must have. That must be where I got it. Yeah.
Because like I've read that book, and me and Dean were talking about it the other day. I was like, if we have because we have a certain threshold for one thing that we're doing, anything else above that we'll take out of the account. But then we pivoted a little bit. I was like, so that should drop to create more urgency to go out there and make more, in my opinion. Because like if you have it there, then you can keep going, and then you'll have it in some other random account. But I've implemented it in my other company too, to where no matter what, you just pull it out, you put it somewhere where you can't touch it, and then you keep on going. So you keep that urgency, but you still have a little bit of safety in your head. But you know, like, oh fuck, it's going to be a whole thing to go get it. We got to go out there and make this money.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you, Ryan. I think when you have too much money there, you feel comfortable, which is good to feel comfortable and not stressed, but you naturally will dip in your effort. We had a dip in our bank account in spring because our volume of deals went down, and sure enough, our expenses are still there. Right. So I saw a dip in our bank account, and it fired me up. It enraged me. So I went into town and I frickin' kicked every door down and, hyped up the team and, set a new standard. And sure enough, we started popping off deals like we were used to and normal, what is standard for us. And, we had a killer month of July, June and July. Both June and July were essentially almost $250,000 net profit months back to back. July was just shy of $500,000 in gross revenue, and net was just above $250,000 in July. And I can attribute it partially because, just getting enraged by seeing the bank account going down and saying, no way, this cannot happen, and going into overdrive. So yeah, that's a great point. And I think thinking strategically how to set yourself up to be aggressive and pushing yourself is smart. I want to recap real quick your story about losing $1 million, and then we get a little bit more tactical with what led you to, having this record quarter. So the deal you lost, you had the shiny object syndrome. You got in this deal, all these problems that were not obvious, came to the surface, and you had to get really resourceful. Would you say it was the Weimer method that got you out of that? Was that the key main strategy that you discovered that got you through, or was there anything else that you did to help weather that storm?
Yeah, that was the main one. It also made me level up my private money raising skills, because maybe in the past, we had other deals and stuff going on, so maybe I would use some of my own cash there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I really needed to dump that into the deal and raise private money for other things. So we leveled up in a huge way, raising private money a lot cheaper and a lot more of it. And then the third way was probably, it really humbled me because I had amassed just over 40 doors of rental properties at that time. Most of them were single family, and they weren't earning shit for cash flow. Like I was equity rich and cash poor. And when the market takes a little bit of a turn like that, it's no longer you get your cash out in 30 to 60 days. Like it can be 2, 3, 6 months to liquidate a deal, and a lot lower than what you anticipate. So all of a sudden, you get squeezed from all different angles, and you have to. It really taught me such a valuable lesson about liquidity and how much better of a decision maker you can make when you have liquidity, and that just changes everything, really. And I know the cliche is right, cash is king. Yes, but I think it's more about like the power of decision making that liquidity gets you.
I mean, Warren Buffett keeps a couple $100 billion on hand for a reason, you know,
Yeah.
like for situations like that, because there's a different person who wouldn't have executed the same way you did, and someone with cash would have bought it up for cheap and then had a deal of a lifetime because you didn't perform, but they had cash and they knew they could solve the problem, which is something like no one ever talks about, which I think is a huge deal.
How are you making decisions differently now that you've gone through that experience? You said you're more thoughtful about your cash management. What are the decisions you're making, and what's your thought process now?
Yeah, so I know you guys can relate to this, but when I can make 30K on a wholesale, or I can make 70 to 90K on a flip, it's really difficult for me to take the 30K.
Yeah.
But the problem is when one thing goes wrong on one of those, the 70 to 90 turns to 30 to 50, and in 6 months from now, right?
Yep.
And then that affects the next project and all the other ones that you're buying. And so it is, for me now, it's so much more about not necessarily actually trying to maximize every single deal profit, but to maximize liquidity, because I get way more out of really good people and really good marketing now than I do out of real estate properties. Like, real estate is just the vehicle for financial freedom, for time freedom, for tax advantages, for long-term wealth, but it's not what actually runs a business, right? People and money run a business. And so around the same time I discovered that a good salesperson could make $1 million a year or generate $1 million a year revenue for the company, I was like, I don't know of a property that can do that. And so that I think that just changes your mindset, and you have to go through these lessons to be humbled like that to really understand it.
Yeah.
How did you get through this mentally, bro? Like, what were you doing? Did you pick up? I read a lot about other entrepreneurs who get their teeth kicked in, like a guy in New York essentially got corporately raided, Bill Ackman. And so Carl Icahn essentially shorted his entire portfolio, and he was like in his mid-30s, and he was losing everything. And he was like, I just had to meditate, bro. That's the one thing I had to do. That's what got me through it, and I'm lucky I got through it. So, like, what did you change mentally about yourself in those super stressful days? Because I forced myself to not drink in those situations because you'll create bad habits. And as entrepreneurs, we have huge substance abuse problems at times because it's so stressful, and that's not what I want. So, like, what did you implement into your life to actually get through that?
Yeah, I went to the red light district in Amsterdam a few times, did a bunch of drugs. No, I'm just kidding.
His strategy was to take all the substances.
No, on a serious note, that's when a sense of community really comes in. So I'm a member of a few different masterminds, Collective Genius being one of them. And man, I had a lot of conversations with people that had lost everything in 08 and 09 when I wasn't doing real estate yet. And a lot of them had way worse situations than I did. And that really gave me a lot of peace talking to people that had been through it before. That's my best answer to that, is just a lot of conversations, being a part of either a coaching community, having a strong mentor, being a part of a mastermind. That's when you really need it. It's not for when the times of things everybody's crushing it and things are going well and like, it fills up your ego bucket, right? No, you need it when you're going through the shit. So that's what got me through.
Were you always open in that mastermind group? Because a lot of these mastermind groups can be super like pound your chest. And I have been in rooms where I haven't been open and I didn't use the group for what it's for. And I agree with you. It's for when shit hits the fan and your face is getting ripped off, not necessarily when everything's going good. So, like, were you always open in it, or did it take this moment to be like, hey, I need serious help?
Well, I'd be lying if I said that I was completely open to it right away, because the first thing you feel is shame, right? Like, how could
Yeah.
I be so dumb?
Yeah.
Like, I'm smarter than this. I'm such an idiot, how did I do this? And you feel that shame. So no, it takes people in those groups. It takes the right group, first of all, but it takes people of that mindset of um, just humility and finding that the people that are going to be humble. So it took a few people sharing their stories. The first few sessions that I went before, I was going through this myself. Not everybody is going to be like that in those
Yeah.
rooms, right? But the people that openly share about it, okay, the only reason that they've openly shared about it is because they've conquered it and they've been through it, and they want other people to learn from their mistakes. And I think it's just about finding the right people, and it does take, when you're not ready, or maybe it's too fresh for yourself to be brave. It takes a few people to do it for you to, um, yeah, just feel empowered to.
So with it, did you sell it? Did you keep it? What did you do with the asset?
I sold it. I wanted to keep it because the one thing that I'll say saved me. The only reason that it didn't either end up getting foreclosed on or I didn't end up losing even more was the location is prime. So thank goodness, right? Location, location, location. Uh, but I did end up having to sell it, and yeah, some investor bought it, and I mean they turned out great after all the blood, sweat, and tears. Fully rented and occupied, and they're really nice. So yeah.
What was the reason you couldn't keep it? Like, what was going on?
Well, the lender that am still suing,
Going to, yeah.
their payoff amount was incorrect. So title had to hold back like a large sum of money that's still being held back. So because the payoff amount was in dispute, I could refinance, but then it wasn't
Yeah.
going to cover what they thought they were owed. And so, yeah, it was messy.
When do you think that lawsuit's going to be over? That one's crazy.
Oh, dude. I don't know. I keep like this. It's so funny. Like this year, I was like, this is going to be the year it's resolved, right? Because I've already, like, mentally, I've already moved past it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of that dark cloud that hangs over you. And
Yeah.
I'd be lying. Like it has an emotional impact on you,
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
So it's just like when somebody wrongs you, it's not even about the money.
Exactly.
It's just when somebody wrongs you, it just feels so icky.
Yeah.
So
No doubt about it.
realistically, I think it could be about a year from now, hopefully.
Dang. Okay, so you mentioned another thing to recap. You mentioned about leveling up your private money skills. Bless you. Leveling up your private money skills. What did you do to level up your private money skills, and where did you find the more private money?
My inner circle. So I think when a lot of people, I struggled. So my background's in engineering, so I'm not necessarily a social person. I went to college for engineering, and my first couple jobs were in engineering. So the thought of asking somebody for money is really like scary for me. So I had to get over that. And the thing that did it for me is I don't go to people and ask them for money. I go to them and I say, who do you know
Yep.
that would want an opportunity like this? Because that's what it is. You're not asking somebody for money. You are providing somebody a guaranteed secured return on their capital, right? In our case,
Right.
it was a guaranteed return in how we were doing it, because we don't do syndications and all that. But ours is just a regular promissory note secured, usually in second position against a rental property with equity, and it's anywhere from 8 to 12% interest is how we were getting it.
So it's
So
pretty killer to get that in second position. I just want to compliment you.
yeah, but it's all about starting with your inner circle, right? Your family and friends. It's going to start off with small amounts, right? So you might get 10K from somebody, or up to 50K, and then after you make the payments and they trust you, then okay, now they'll do 100K plus they'll tell their buddy. Like, there's no way to speed it up. And I remember being frustrated, like, I can't, this is taking so long, right? Like, I can get a little bit, but I can't get a lot of it. But there is a method to that madness. So I think in my head, overcoming that obstacle, that I'm not asking people for money, I'm providing an opportunity, and I'm asking them who they know instead of asking them directly.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I love that. Okay, let's transition into what has set you up for having this record-breaking quarter and the things that you're doing. So why don't you share with us what sets yourself up for this, right? You went through the experience, you learned some new skills, you kind of tighten up things the way you were doing it. But if you were to break it down, is it the marketing? Was it, some of your systems and processes that you have with your team, or some new people you hired? What was it that contributed to the quarter you're having right now?
Yeah, a few things, obviously, but without a doubt, the biggest was hiring the right people.
Okay,
And
so you
that
hired some
that
new people.
yeah, we hired some new people, primarily on our sales team, and also a couple people in key leadership positions. That, man, we hired an A player operations manager, which has completely changed a lot of things. And then we
Operations.
hired,
Okay.
oh yeah, yep. So operations manager was a big hire, and then right now we have 4 acquisition managers and 5 lead managers.
5 lead managers. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How many leads do you have? Like
Oh
how?
gosh.
That's a lot of leads managers.
Or
I
maybe
can,
another way to ask the question: how many do you get a month per se?
Yeah, like how many are you getting a month to like justify that? Like, what is that leads manager role? I have so many questions for you. I'm stoked.
yeah. We'll get here. I can look right now. I'm pulling up Salesforce in the background. So we get anywhere from about 600 to 800 outbound leads per month, and
Calling?
then calling or texting. And then last month we got 168 inbound leads.
What's your outbound qualification? Is it like a hand raise?
So it's that they have any kind of timeline to sell, and it's not an upsizing situation, meaning like, hey, I'll
They're
sell
moving
this
for
if I can go
convenience.
buy a better property. Yeah. So
Um,
it's a pretty low qualification, because we don't want our virtual assistants to be overthinking it, or we just want them to pass it through and then let our lead managers do their thing.
Are you running out of data? That sounds like a lot of leads, and Boise isn't that big of a spot for texting and calling that many people. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
So yeah, we are, but now our database has over 15,000 people in it. So I
Just
mean,
work
they're
it.
all on drip sequences, different, automations with emails and texting. And that's, people always ask about CRMs, and I won't go necessarily down that rabbit hole, but that was a big reason why we upgraded to Salesforce, was just because, yes, on the front end, we are data is becoming more of a challenge, but internally in our system, it's helping us rise to the cream to the top.
What is your, do you know like your typical salesperson turnover? We were talking to Aaron Gaunt the other day. He's like, I can get someone to last for a year and a half. Like, what's your typical turnover?
Oh, dude, it's so hard. It's so hard. This is the hardest part of the business. Like, if I could figure out this one thing, I mean, if anybody could figure that out,
If
and
anybody could figure it out, the business would be sellable, in my opinion.
100%. And I think there's two things, and I'll answer your question kind of. I'll circle back to it, so stick with me. But I think, we as entrepreneurs, we kind of overestimate our leadership ability, because you go from doing the thing to then becoming a leader, and like there's a pretty big gap there, like way more than you think, about what it takes to be a really competent manager and leader versus a doer or individual contributor. And a lot of times when you're growing, you have to do both. So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two is money, right? The more money you pay,
Yeah.
the better people you're going to attract. And if you're starting businesses, or you're a small business, cash is always going to be a constraint. Plus, if you're in real estate, cash is even going to be even more of a constraint, right? Because you're taking down big deals. So those are the two things that I think have really helped us in the last year level up there. A couple hacks. So yeah, our turnover is pretty bad. I think the inside sales lead manager position, like our average tenure is definitely less than a year. If you look though, regardless of industry, at like a BDR, business development rep, an SDR, sales development rep in software, whatever, it's going to be really difficult to find people with tenure of more than a year or 2 years, regardless of industry. So that is by far the hardest role to have tenure in. Outside sales, acquisitions, or an account executive, right? Those are going to be longer tenured people. That's going to be a year and a half to 3 to 5 years or longer. But man, we have taken some huge licks there. It's taken us years to get salespeople that last, mostly because of our either bad hiring mistakes or our incompetence in leadership. To be honest.
All right, I got so many rabbit holes I want to go down right here too. Let's talk about leadership mistakes and your incompetence. How you found out about it? What were like the red flags that were obvious, and then how you fixed them over time?
I think the first one is just having the wrong expectations of how many dang people you got to interview. Like you got to treat it, even if you're getting referrals or references and you're getting warm applicants, like you got to treat it. You got to way overestimate the amount of people you got to interview and hire and get reference checks and go through that process and vet. So that's one of the biggest mistakes is thinking, hey, I'm going to interview 10 people and I'm sure one of the, like I can find a really good person out of the 10.
Yeah.
Like you got to go interview 100 plus to find a really good person. And that's a 10x difference. It's not a little difference.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I mean, like our operations gal, and we just hired a full-time recruiter finally, but our operations gal, when we hired her on, she was going through like 2,000 resumes a month. You know, like we're not talking small numbers.
Yeah.
We're talking, especially for salespeople, for what we can afford. Like you just got to go to the extreme on a way higher. So that's one level of incompetence. It's like just underestimating the amount of people you got to interview and what it takes. And then I think number two, you really have to view people as an investment and not an expense. They are even more precious than any kind of marketing channel, right? Like you wouldn't pour 10 grand into direct mail and then the first month cut it if it doesn't work. Like it's going to be 6 months to a year before you start getting a positive ROI in your business with that. And so if you don't have, this comes back to liquidity, but like if you don't have the liquidity to get you through that period, to get the return on the employee and give that employee the time, onboarding, attention that they deserve, like you are setting yourself up to fail. So that's another mistake that we had.
Yeah.
Let me know if you agree with this. I'd posted about this, I think last year. I said, in the world of small business, we are not in the business of really hiring A people because in all reality, we can't afford that kid from Harvard. But we are in the business of like developing A players, and you get your skills as a leader are like, how do I take this BC and turn them into an A? But you searching for a diamond in the rough, you're not going to have enough cash to like front that person. So as a leader, it's your job with culture to bring them up to where they need to be, and you got to be able to identify that. Like, is that how you feel about it, or have you seen something different?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, like skills can be taught. What you can't teach are the want to or the attitude, right?
Yeah. That's huge. That's big.
Yeah, like this is the hardest part is even with our interview process and what we've learned and how we've grown, it's not perfect. It's come a long way and we're proud of that. But people can say everything perfect in an interview, and you really don't know until they're out on the field playing the game, you know, and you see when they get hit for the first time or they get punched in the mouth, how they're going to react to adversity. So part of it in this sale, especially with hiring that salesperson, is going to be a little bit of a numbers game because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Dean's really good at it. Dean's the best I've seen at it. He has really, really good tenure. I don't want to knock on wood. I don't want to mess him up, but he's
knock
the
on
best.
wood. I've had really, really good tenure.
Nice.
But I think that is easily one of the hardest parts. And I think you're right that you're going to underestimate how much time and effort you need to pour in to that person and continue doing it. I continue to do my best to level up as a leader. And there's moments where I'm really great and on top of it, and other moments where I could be better. And I was just reflecting on that today. I literally sent a message to my partner. We need to train our team more, in all bold caps, because, they deserve that. They need that. You can't just take the benefit of the doubt that they're obsessed like we are, right? This is our babies. These are our babies, the business. We're entrepreneurs. We have screws loose, and we're obsessed over it. So you can't assume the same. I love that. There's a lot of good wisdom there. When it comes to your team, it sounds like you have, I wrote down 4 acquisitions, 5 leads manager, and an operations manager. I want to come back to the operations. For the operations, what are they focused on every single day? And you got excited about that. Why are you excited about it?
Well, first of all, are you guys familiar with predictive index?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the personality. Okay. So
What's your operations?
so she's one of the only people we've ever had that got a perfect score on the COG score. She's a 450 out of 450. And you know it from talking with her and seeing how much she can handle. So the COG score is supposed to be, it's not how smart somebody is, but it's how quickly can they learn or pick up new things. Usually a low COG score indicates, hey, you might have to repeat the same thing 5 or 6 times for somebody to get it. Someone with a high COG score, it's tell them once, boom, they got it. So she's that caliber where you don't have to tell her things multiple times. So when we first brought her on, we had her over all of transactions, we had her over recruiting, and we had her over just like Salesforce stuff. So it's a lot to put on her plate. Right now we've hired the recruiter and kind of brought her off that. But once a contract is signed, it gets passed to her and she takes care of everything, the whole rest of the stuff. So our sales team can just focus on what they do best, and she handles all those conversations and everything post close. So that's that, plus the Salesforce optimization and cool AI tools that we've added and all that fun stuff is what she's working on now.
Interesting. Okay. So, because I have an office manager that runs all of our, let's call it office stuff with billing and, all our coordination with our rental property and portfolio and all that kind of stuff. And then also is transaction coordinator. Okay.
Got it.
But by personality, by desire and passion, I wouldn't say, hey, go dive into our CRM and just geek out for my specific person. And typically a transaction coordinator, an office manager wouldn't necessarily be someone who's very tech savvy. So how did you marry the two, and where'd you get that idea, or did you just kind of land on it? How did that come together?
It's really about her mindset. She has such a growth mindset that she was willing and wanted to take on more responsibility than just one thing, because she wanted to learn and grow. And so it was really a rare combination of somebody that did have some technical ability, but also wanted to get yelled at by sellers that were unhappy after signing, or all the shit that happens post contract in their lives, and they get stressed out or whatever. But she has that thing that we look for of having a growth mindset and hiring people, because the skills can be taught. So that's the short way to answer that. It's just her mindset was different.
Got it. She just wanted to deal with problems all day, because that's what you do when you're
Love
going
it.
through escrow.
Exactly.
How long did it take her to pick up the escrow stuff? Does she have to come to you a lot for like complicated stuff? Because real estate's a very tribal knowledge thing, to where like there's one random transaction. So where you know what to do. I would probably have to call you to figure out how to get that thing done. You know what I'm saying?
So luckily, when we hired her on, that was actually her core competence was transactions. That was the one thing she had experience in. So the Salesforce stuff, the conversations with sellers, the recruiting and hiring piece, those were all the things that we had to teach her. But she was already pretty stellar. She came from a company that did over 1,000 transactions a year.
Wowzer.
So, yeah.
Big time.
Wow. That's a big company.
Okay, so I want to talk about again what built to this quarter, and also sustaining what sounds like you said 150 to 200 off market deals in a year. Let's talk about what kind of marketing strategies you're doing. So it sounds like you credited a lot of what your record quarter is to your team, your hiring and training, and bringing on some more A players. Let's talk more about the kind of marketing strategies you're doing. So you talked about some outbound and inbound, cold calling and text for outbound. What kind of inbound strategies are you doing?
So right now we're doing TV,
Okay.
PPC, pay per click, and PPL, pay per lead. And then we just restarted. We haven't done direct mail since like 2021, but we just restarted that this last month.
Okay.
Why?
Got it. So you're doing all the major strategies, right? How much in total across all the strategies, outbound and inbound, would you say you're spending right now a month?
35K.
Wow.
Bro, that's crazy margins.
I'm gonna say that's really.
What are you doing over there? Selling these people coke? Like,
I'm gonna say a little extra sauce on the side with the sale of your house.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing?
I'll tell you why. Most of our competition are only doing cash deals. We have 4 different options. We've got cash deals, we've got novations, we've got terms, aka creative finance, and then we've also got a 4th one called installment method or installment contracts.
Yeah.
So now I would not advise people to do that, because that is not the right way to do it. And teaching a team to do that is a operational challenge and even a hazard. So if I could do it over again, I would not have that many options. But now that we do, and the team is a little bit more mature, and we're able to put some guidelines around our sales process and how we have those conversations, we're just able to monetize way more leads than every other company or all of our competition. Like right now, I'll bring up some stats. Right now, these are gross leads. So this means everybody that fills out the form, whether they're from Timbuktu or a legit lead, 1 in every 7.6 TV leads is a contract for us.
Wow.
1 in every 9.5 leads on PPC is a contract for us. And then across PPLs, we're averaging right around 1 in 13 leads is a contract for us. So those are really strong.
Really strong, bro. I thought Dean had sexy
KPIs.
Bro, what is your profit on sub 2? Because like we've thought about implementing it, and the training aspect is a nightmare when I've had to train up reps on like 3 different exit strategies. It's just too much to get them up and running fast and actually producing you money. And I feel like sub 2 is a waste of time, because more times than not, the entry fee and you making $1, it's just not going to make sense. I guess unless you do it at scale and you can pull in 3 10K pops, and then there's our marketing spend, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if generally speaking, our underwriting guidelines is if we don't think we can make our average deal size goal on a deal, we will pass on it. So right now for us, that's 31K is our average goal. We're exceeding that this quarter, but 31K is our average. So in Boise, if we get a sub 2 that'll cash flow as a rental, we'll get that average deal size or exceed it. But those are few and far between, right? Like you're talking, you have to be like less than 3% or 3.5% interest, which are harder and harder to come by. So a lot of times we'll, if they have no equity and say they're at like a 5% or higher, we'll just pass, because it's not worth
What
the time.
hell is your return on ad spend?
Oh, geez. I mean, depending on the
with one deal,
Gotta
you
be
make
good.
up your entire marketing budget. Like
It's got to be good. Stratt, you were talking smack, so I had to pull up my Resimply and look at my KPIs. So my KPIs are actually slightly a little better, but he's spending less on marketing. So I would much rather be in his seat. It doesn't matter if I've got one.
He has the ultimate money machine.
One out of 5.82 on TV, or I've got one out of 8.87 on PPC leads per contract. Nice. It doesn't matter unless the ROI is there and is good. You're spending a lot less, and that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, one thing we're kind of, I wouldn't say struggle with, but I think most people, not all people, but a lot of people start on outbound because it costs you time, not money, right? And a lot of people don't have a ton of money to put down. So now we're in this process of, ironically, our outbound deal sizes are actually quite a bit larger than our inbound, but it just takes so much more bandwidth and labor hours to go through, right?
You're trading the time for the money, right? It makes sense that your inbound are high costs per deal. I'm looking at mine right now, and yeah, some of them are pretty high, especially compared to when I first started. I mean, it's insanely higher from when I first started, but outbound, it's got to be low, but the time and effort you're spending is much higher.
Yeah. So I think we're in the process right now of moving more away from outbound into inbound, or at the very least, raising our criteria for what is a qualified outbound lead to help. Because the truth is, everybody, like, I don't care who you are, the amount of follow-up that you have to do in the database, like if you're talking hundreds or thousands, your team will just look at that and be like, oh my God, right? And you're not really encouraging action. So we're trying to find that sweet spot.
With your texting, are you using GHL or anything? Ours should be up hopefully next week. The stupid A2P stuff. I haven't had to do it in years. And we'll use just CloseBot with cold outbound texting to very niche lists. And I have some people who just use GHL to text a bunch of agents and text niche lists, and they'll pull out $200,000 a month doing that.
Wow.
And they don't have to have a VA running it because CloseBot's so good.
Yeah,
and then
wild.
That's wild.
We're implementing Steve's like leads manager too to see how that performs.
Oh, cool.
Especially on like these cold ones to see if we can actually like streamline that outbound.
Yeah, that's rad. Right now, all I'm aware of we're using is Smarter Contact.
Okay.
With VAs. So all of that stuff is what you just described is new to me, but that sounds pretty cool and promising.
So sign me up. You and I are both going to get signed up on that after this call.
Oh yeah, it's all right. I got more questions. What is your pay structure like for these reps? Rough numbers if you don't want to dive super deep.
So right now, so let's start with acquisitions for outside sales. So they're getting $1,000 every 2 weeks in a base. And then they're also getting a draw. So that means right when they start, every single 2 weeks, they're getting some amount of draw on top of that $1,000. And then they get 10% of all gross profit on deals.
Does the draw ever stop?
The draw does stop once they have enough in their pipeline that they don't need it anymore, just because they have commissions closing every single 2 week period or more. It does stop. But if somebody has extenuating circumstances or whatever reason, let's say they have, I don't know how many properties under contract, and for whatever reason in that 2 week period they don't have any closed, then of course we'll work something out there. But they have to have the pipeline and have hit the minimum standards to warrant that.
Question going back to your 4 strategies. Are you making those, and every offer has an offer with those 4 strategies, or do you lean into the cash offer first, and if they push back, then you have the other options you present?
Yeah, always the latter. Yep.
Okay.
Because how we screwed up is whenever you give And our sales process is a little different. I can talk about that later, but you always have to start with exhausting that cash option first.
That's the
And
exact word
like,
I used too. Got exhausted.
yes, and beating it to a pulp, because people will, their lowest acceptable offer is not going to be whatever number they're asking for first, or whatever they're saying first.
Yeah.
So if your rep, it hears that when he's presenting the low anchor, the third person low anchor, and then your sales process and go into a cash offer, and then right away, like the first number they give, he's like, oh, that's not going to work, let me switch to something else, you are leaving tons of money on the table, and it's not going
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah.
With that, is it essentially, I love the, hey, here's our cash offer, I may be able to get you approved for this other option, and then you apply the scarcity and everything else, and you move forward that way? Is that typically how it goes?
Yes. Yeah. So one thing about our sales process is that it's a little different too. We actually have all of our acquisitions, whether it's a virtual appointment, so we'll do in person and virtual. Virtual we do over a Zoom or Google Meet, which if you're not doing that, you should definitely do, because it'll increase your conversion rates.
Are you doing
But
that
we'll
every
have them.
time or just sometimes?
It's our standard. Absolutely. If they're older and they can't figure out the technology, okay, we'll convert it to a phone call, but always we're setting up a Google Meet or a Zoom.
Wow.
All right, I got to cut you off. So like PPC lead comes in, you talk to them, you send them a Zoom link, like, hey, hop on the Zoom call, let's talk.
If they're red hot, so if they're within an hour driving distance, we'll have a guy go right there, right now. If it's outside of an hour, then we'll get on a Zoom or a Google Meet.
Really?
Yeah.
How much has that jumped your conversions?
I don't have that number. Off the top of my head, though, it'd have to be by at least 50%. So
How long have you been doing it?
Probably 2.5, 3 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. Because
do you see resistance from the sellers, or are they just
I can see the resistance thing being a big deal, but
because there's weird people we talk to all the time, right? They're just dealing with life, and they're in the position they're in because they got some quirks,
Right. But Dean, I don't know about you. I get tons of scammers and robocalls every day. I want to know the person that I'm working with is an actual person and is there to fulfill my problem and solve my problem and give me what I need. So that's why we have a Google Meet and a Zoom, so I can see you, you can see me, we can verify, we're here to help you, and it just makes you stand out professionally versus everybody else.
100%.
And when you are sending so we don't allow people, I'd say we don't allow. Our standard is we don't send people an offer unless they're either on the phone with us or on a Zoom or Google Meet. And so when you're in that appointment and you're you're about to close them and you're saying, okay, perfect, I'm about to send you the contract. Are you able to pull it up and we'll review it together? And we're on a screen. I can do a screen share. I'm reviewing the contract with them on the screen. You're not going to get way less people that are like that ghost, that are like, I need to think about this, I need to talk to so-and-so, because you're there with them going through it line by line, making sure that they understand. So it's helped a lot.
How hard was it for you to implement this with your team? Was it difficult?
Well, they didn't like it. Yeah.
Because it's extra effort. There's no doubt about it.
That's a lot of effort.
You got to be camera ready. You know what I mean? Can't be in your jammies.
Yeah. But ultimately, if it's going to make them more money, then that's what we tell our team, right? Like, this is going to make you more in commissions. You're going to close at a higher percentage.
At what point in the call, because Stratt was getting into it, but I didn't quite get the answer, and I know it's there. So lead comes in, right? It's PPC, for example, or you got a direct mail call, right? The order might be a little bit differently, but let's say it's not. You get them on the phone. Let's just start there. You're on the phone with the person. Is the first things out of your mouth, hey, I'm so-and-so with whatever company, yada, 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 let's get on a Zoom call? Or do you kind of get through at least getting the address, their information, some other kind of pleasantry stuff, and then, hey, as part of our process, next steps is we get on a Zoom because of scams, robocalls, all that stuff?
Yeah, the latter. Yeah. So we'll qualify them, and then we have it depends on the company, right? But we have our inbound leads go to ring all of our acquisition managers' phone directly. So we actually don't have them go to our lead managers, only a couple of them that are like the highest skilled.
Yeah.
So if it's an acquisition manager, they can say, hey, okay, there's nothing preventing you from moving forward. You're going to have all decision makers present. They go through their checklist of all the things that they need to get knocked out. Boom, they hop in the car and they drive there. If they can't, then they're going to say, hey, perfect. When your husband is ready to join, okay, perfect. He's here. I'm going to send over a link right now. We're going to hop on a Zoom or Google Meet, and I'll stay on the line with you while
Okay.
I text you this link so that you get it. And then we
So if
can
I
hop on.
understand you correctly, you do a full qualification call. Full qualification call. That could be a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute, 40-minute call. You just go through all the qualification questions, all the core information. Once you have that and you know there's something there, the next step is, instead of
Zoom.
just jumping off and making your offer call, you may jump off and say, hey, when I get back on after reviewing it with my team, seeing what it qualifies for, I'm going to jump back on. I'm going to send you a link. Then we're going to review the offer. So that's the point in the process where you jump on Zoom, not before.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Now speed is critical, right? So like,
Yeah.
if they, like, we want to be in front of them now. So the only thing that would prevent us from meeting with somebody is if they're not prepared to move forward today on something, there's something getting in the way. And then we go into, okay, what is that? And discovery. And then we assign an action step of what that is, or all decision makers present. If they meet those criteria, like, we are trying to get on with them immediately, or trying to get on that appointment immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing is part of we have like our 2-step closing process. So we have our qualification call, and then we basically jump off the phone to, dial in our numbers, confirm with our team where we're at, speed. It could be 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. Hey, next steps, I'm going to jump off the phone, see what it qualifies for, talk to the team. I'm going to get right back on with you, and we're going to talk through it. Are you available in, let's say, 5 minutes? Jump back on and then get back on. So, okay. So that would be you either scheduling the in-person appointment or saying, hey, I'm going to get with my team. When I get back on with you, I'm going to send you a link. We're going to go on Zoom so we can see each other. We can walk through everything, and then we can figure this out together.
Yeah. And one caveat to that, right? If they're red hot, basically, like, they're behind on pay, like, our sales team know what means somebody's red hot, right? If there's nothing preventing them from moving forward, they have all decision makers present. They're behind on payments. They can hear it in their voice. They are going to stay on the line with them while they send them the link. We don't want to, like, we're going to do it at the same time, because we know the minute we hang up,
it's over, bro.
We're not 100 out of 100 times. Okay, we're going to miss some that just don't get on the Google Meet, or they don't join. So we're going to make sure, if it's red hot, like, and if then we know, like, if they have technological challenges, if they're older and they're like, I can't figure this out or whatever, then we'll just, okay, fine. We'll just handle this like a phone offer then.
Yeah.
Do your reps all work in office, or is everybody virtual?
We're all virtual right now. But going back to the sales tenure piece, I really am a strong believer in an in-person office, especially for that, like, lead manager, or like your younger, less experienced demographic. There is nothing like somebody next to you going through the same failure that you are, and the same rejection, and it helps. And so that's been one of our biggest things we've taken away from masterminds, is we really need to get an in-person office, because it just helps with team morale.
Yeah, everybody was big on virtual, and I think you can have, in my opinion, you can have just a lifestyle company that is virtual, but you are never going to, like, truly compete and build, like, a worthwhile company that's going to outlast, and you have to just accept what it is. If you do want to be, like, market dominant, I personally believe you got to have an office, no matter what the business is.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be you. Like, I'm in London, right? I'm in Boise right now, but I live in London, right? So when we get an office, it's not going to be me that's at the office, but it is going to be a strong in-person sales leader, or my COO, or somebody in leadership that can be that person that people turn to and that guiding light.
Do you have a sales manager right now?
We don't. It's all
Is it all
going to
you?
my COO. No, it's going to my COO right now.
Or is that a role that you're looking to hire, or do you think the COO can handle it?
Oh yeah, but he can handle it, and he's phenomenal at it. But it is, with how we're growing, it's such a hard position and a high risk position for your culture. So we've gone back and forth with like, well, if we wait, we really want to internally promote somebody from within, which is the stance that we're taking now. But it's difficult to be patient there. If you hire somebody from externally, I mean, they could absolutely take your business to the next level, but I also think that they could set you back pretty significantly. So it's a high risk, high reward hire, and we're just taking our time with it.
And people don't. At one point in time when we were going through a huge hiring spree in the VA company, we hired on someone woke, and it took me 6 months to unfold the fucking. It took, like, she was like our training manager, and like, I shit you not, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And that's exactly the mistake I made. And we didn't necessarily know until later on. And it's funny, but it fucked everything up.
Yeah.
It made it so hard.
That's
Timothy has a question for you. Go ahead.
I got a question first from Stan here. Do you ever render leads dead after you exhaust all options, or do you just take those leads, revisit leads in the future that are dead today? Basically, do you ever mark those dead in your CRM after you've exhausted all the options and just say, well, they didn't like them, they're dead, or do they just go into like a warm status?
For us, if the only way it's dead is if they're not the owner of the property, or they said, hey, we're never selling this property forever. And even if they do, we mark those as cold. So actually, for someone who would be dead, because we have Salesforce now, that's part of the beauty of it, is it can handle such a large volume of leads. But so the short answer is, let me break this down actually. Especially with inbound leads, it's quite often that either you catch somebody at the wrong place, wrong time, the wrong voice. They just don't like how you sound.
Yep.
If we're not able to convert that to an appointment immediately, we will go, somebody else on the team will call right away. So
when you say right away,
we do like the sales manager one, to like, hey, blah, 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 this is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll
do both.
Do you stay as the same company? Like, hey, you're just talking to Joe on my team. We're like, oh, hey, I wanted to see if you were interested in selling. I'm a completely new person.
Completely new person. We call it a new investor call. So this is somebody that presents themselves as an individual investor. Right?
Okay.
Like, hey,
how do you approach that? Yeah, you were about to say,
like,
go ahead.
Hey, we got your web form. I'm an individual investor. I wanted to reach out to you about XYZ. And if they act confused, just be like, oh, that's weird. I don't know how I got your information then. Are you still looking to sell a property? And you just
Aren't
go
you
back
from
into
Ryan
that.
Weimer's team? I just spoke to somebody.
Oh, really? You just spoke to somebody. Oh my gosh. How did that go? Why didn't they buy your house?
But are you with them? I don't want to talk to those guys.
No, I'm just an individual investor.
Okay. You play the game.
I play the game.
Do you disclose your company name initially? We never say, hey, this is so-and-so with Easy Fast Offers. We just call them, like, because most of our leads are inbound. And we just say, hey, we got your web form. We're still interested in selling. We never say.
We're the opposite. We're very branded. So we say.
Yeah. So if we're actually not consistent there, I would say, because our direct mail and our TV commercial are branded, and PPC and web are going to be a mix.
Yeah.
I don't actually think we introduce ourselves as Offer Now Idaho on those calls. I think we just say, hey, we got your information. You filled out something to our website. We leave it generic. But going back to the dead question, that's how we'll handle inbound leads, is like, those are automatic appointments. And just because somebody is in a hurry or they hang up or whatever, like that's just the first line of resistance. Like, somebody has to have a really valid reason for why they don't want to meet, or hey, they're their husband is at work, and then they need to talk to each other first because they just filled out the form and they haven't even talked to the husband yet about selling, which that happens all the time. And so then we'll set an action step to talk to the husband, and then we'll have a call back later that evening. Go ahead.
Well, let's say it wasn't PPC; it was a TV lead or direct mail, right? They specifically targeted your ad, reached out to you. How would you still play the hey, I got your form filled out online and just let it roll and see how they react, or do you have a slight little tweak and your team's cued into the difference?
Yeah, so our team is cued into the difference. So like if somebody calls our TV number, it rings everybody's phone and it says TV lead. If somebody calls our website, it rings everybody's phone as Offer Now Idaho website lead. Same with direct mail, same with the other channels. So if, for example, they get a TV or direct mail piece or whatever, they should be saying, hey, this is Roy with Offer Now Idaho. This is Ryan with Offer Now Idaho. How can I help you?
I'm saying for the new investor call, as you call it.
Oh, okay.
Right? Someone's calling back. They said, you know what? I'm not really that interested. Boom, they hang up. They're, as you put it, their first line of resistance. All right. I'm raising my hand in the team chat. Guys, that person needs another call, from a new investor call from someone else who wants it. How would they approach the non-form filled lead?
So what would be an example of this? Like somebody that
Like a
calls
TV
into
lead.
the website?
Yeah, just like a website
let's say
they called your TV number.
Direct mail. Let's just say direct mail. They got a letter. They know it's you, Ryan, specifically. I'm calling Ryan's company. Sure, they could have got some other direct mail. Sure, they might have called someone else, but let's just assume they haven't. They called your direct mail piece. They just spoke to Ryan. And now an hour later, they get a call from John Smith, some new investor, coincidentally.
That's actually a good question.
So we always go in with a mindset of a confused, sad puppy, right? So like the short answer is, if I'm calling that lead, I'm just gonna act confused on how I got their information. I'm just gonna be like, I'm not really sure. You just popped up into our system. I'm an investor and I buy properties around the area. Like I'm just not gonna tell them how I got their information, because there was something that happened on the first call where we didn't get to the full truth. So all I'm doing is I'm just trying to revive that situation to find out what that truth is. Now this is for somebody that's not a, hey, take me off your list, because if they're like, take me off their list, obviously we're removing them. But for people that are like, I gotta go buy, right? Those are people we're just gonna call as somebody new. If they get upset about that, that's totally fine. We're still gonna get 1 out of every 2 out of every 10 of those to then tell us what the truth is, right? We're not going to be 10 for 10, but that's not the point.
I love the sales manager one, and we'll call them like, hey, you just spoke to Stratton. It didn't sound like it go too well. Do we need to let him go? Did he say something to offend you? And then they will immediately.
That one is good.
That one is fire, because that one drops all guards, and they're like, oh, no, it's just this. And then you go back into it, and you just open it up again, and you can just keep going. I really like that one. It's worked for us well in multiple different sales situations. All right, 2 more questions from the audience, and I don't think I have any more. Ryan, if you were an operator and you had a small team, what would you do to hit $60K a month profit?
Solo operator, small team, man. If you're after profit, stay lean and mean and hit the phones, man. I mean, that's what I like. If you're trying to hit $60K a month in profit, you probably need, depending on your market, anywhere from 2 to probably 8 deals. So I'd stay lean and mean. Depends on your skill level. If you're tenured in this and you've been doing it a while, you can get some inbound channels and pay that way. But I got started in cold calling, and that's the best way to learn, and that's the best way to be the most profitable, but it's going to cost you the most amount of time. And it's going to take some grit and dealing with rejection.
What dialer are you using for cold calling?
We still use Mojo.
Yeah, baby.
Mojo dialer.
Well, I think it's the worst. I think with VAs, it's terrible. Your delay's too long. It takes 3 seconds for someone to fucking hear you. It pisses
Ryan
me
looks
off.
like he loves it. Like he loves the pain.
He loves it. I mean, he's doing well with it, bro. He's doing well with it. So obviously,
He
I'm
loves
wrong.
the pain.
I'm really not the right person to ask about that. We've only ever used Mojo, and I know that there's other ones out there. I'm not the person that's tried 8 different ones and knows what the best one is. So,
And then Stan, use Resimply's AI caller if you don't have time, but it is not foolproof.
It's not a
I would say,
replacement.
on a replacement basis. We have it there. I was experimenting with it really heavy on a bunch of our cold call leads because we were getting 20 a day. And I just turned it on, just like, hey, call these people. And it really wasn't doing what I wanted it to. And then we had some hiccups with it, of it marking some stuff as dead. And I didn't like that. But it's there as a pattern interrupt to stop that person from going to another website, in my opinion. If we can't get to it and it's a brand new PPL, PPC, Facebook lead. Besides that, you should do anything you possibly can to get that person on the phone yourself.
yep, 100%, 100% agree.
How do you deal with sellers who call you scammers? I mean, you're just trying to fuse the situation, and obviously they're probably not going to sell to you because they think you're going to rip their equity away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to lean into that. Like, oh my gosh, you've been scammed before. What happened? And see if that kind of when you get on their level, only one person can be in the angry boat, right? So when you get on their level, a lot of times they're upset. You're labeling that they're upset, and sometimes that can help bring them down. And then they'll tell you what happened. But you're making that assumption, like, oh my gosh, you've been scammed in the past. What happened? Who did you wrong? Tell me about that.
Yeah. I love that. Are you using any AI in your business right now, Ryan?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
you got excited. What are you using it for?
Yeah, there's a big face, bro.
We'll end with this.
So it's actually not on any of the sales tools yet, which I'm very excited about those. But we added some features in Salesforce. So the biggest one, the one that's had the biggest impact, it shows us how many deals, how many leads or people that we've met with in our entire database signed and sold to somebody else.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like somebody taking a knife and just stabbing you right in the leg. It is.
Oh, that'd be. Oh my god.
It's rough to look at, but man, does it blow the lid off of whatever cap that you think in your head? Because I know, like, the most common thing I hear is, "Oh, my market's too saturated, and I can't do that many deals there." And then you see how many deals you've lost just in 1 month that signed to other people. It's game changing, and it also really encourages your sales team's buy-in to doing follow-up, because it'll show us, hey, 5 of these were in cold, 2 of these were in dead, 10 of these were in warm, only 3 of these were in hot. Look, in cold and warm, we had our most. Like, we just need to follow up more in the database. There's gold in there. And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, there is. It's not just Ryan getting on a soapbox telling us that we should follow up with our dang leads more in the database. The database actually shows us that data, and your level of buy-in that you get with your team goes up tremendously.
Bro,
wow,
awesome.
That's awesome. Love that.
You were super impressive, bro. You and Casey Ryan, these engineers coming in doing their thing.
I love Casey. Casey's great, man. He's incredible. He's an A player.
Right, Casey's the dog. And then the other guy out of Utah, Jason, he was an engineer too. And he's, again, very impressive.
Jason is such a wizard. Like, man, he is. What goes on in that guy's brain is really impressive.
Oh, yeah. Dino, did you have any more questions, bro?
I could sit here and talk with Ryan for a lot longer, but I think this has been super valuable, super awesome. Are you going to be at Collective Genius in Dallas?
I am.
September. Okay. Yeah. I'll get to meet you face to face then.
Hell yeah. Love it.
That'll be good.
Awesome. Ryan, last thing, do you have any final words for the people?
No, I mean, we started this, this stream just talking about grit and going from losing a bunch of money and how that formed skills that I can use for the rest of my life. And that's just what entrepreneurship is about. It's grit. Like, the only person that fails is somebody that quits. If you don't quit, you will be successful. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how successful you're going to be, but you will, damn it, you will absolutely be successful. So it's just a story of grit and perseverance. And that's why it's so important to be part of a community, a mastermind, get coaching or mentorship.
I agree.
Bro, I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Hell yeah. Thanks, guys, for having me. Have a good one.
Of course. We'll talk to you soon, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Let's go.